day 3, and we start with a coffee as we had done, and a delicious breakfast from the hotel before we start. So the breakfasts will appear pretty much on every day that we're doing it, because certainly for the Chengdu, because we got them free with the hotel. The day that this was videoed was slightly different from the other days that we'd been up until this point, because we were going to, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, visit an area called Wangju or Wangjia. I think it's Wangju, which is in the second, nearly third sector of the city, as I kind of describe it, as not really knowing how else to describe it. The city split in different sectors, like different round sections. So if you're from the UK, the most, I suppose the one that everybody knows is the M25. So if you imagine an M25, and then outside of that, another M25, and then outside of that, another M25. So we were going between the second and the third one, closer to the third one. So it was an hour in a taxi. Now, what I will say is that the Ubers across there, or the Didis over there, an hour we were in the car, and it costs £7, if that. I think it was between £5 and £7. Really, really cheap. And sometimes you're locked out if you just press you wanted a basic one, and you got like a clapped out looking motor that turned up. And other times you pressed it and you got a luxury wagon, which was amazing. But most of the time it wasn't the luxury ones we got. But you can request those, and like Uber, you can pay extra further, like a premium. There's 3 or 4 different grades. But the app is really easy to use. If you know where you're going, you can type it in English and it'll translate it for you. Or you can copy and paste it in Chinese and put it in, and it does it for you. I only struggled with it because the hotel that we were in, there was a hotel named the same thing in a different part of the city, and twice I put in the wrong hotel. Twice I got charged. It was like 50p, because as soon as I realised what I'd done, I cancelled it. But that was only because the car hadn't arrived and it said it had arrived. But very easy to use, really simple to use. My Chinese is very, very, very basic. I can't even pronounce anything right. I was calling it, as you can tell later in the video, I was calling it Chengdu, not Chengdu, even when I'm there, because I'm an idiot. But yeah, so that's something to bear in mind, that this was an hour away from the centre of the city, and it was a different region of the city, big university park, and we saw a big difference in the 2 different areas. Things were roughly the same price. And as you'll see, we found a real little gem of a place that was absolutely amazing. So after the hour taxi ride, we ended up in a city that looked completely different to where we were staying. Still obsessed with pandas and such like, but it was a bit more hustly bustly. It was a bit more what we'd expected China was going to be like. Totally different to the centre of the city. And our first stop was a coffee beer house. In China, they're obsessed with coffee houses that do more than coffee. So, and I think it's brilliant. I think it shows the enterprise and will for people in the country, and it is amazing. So you can go into these tiny little places that's no bigger than like a kitchen and living room put together, and it's a coffee house. And then what the most common one was, it's a coffee house during the day, and then they do like a craft beer. It's a tap room at night. And if you order or try to order a beer during the day, they kind of look a bit weird at you. And it's like, I'm really sorry, I'm Scottish. I like beer at 11 o'clock in the morning. But the coffee's phenomenal as well. If you like your coffee, you'll love China. The coffee is delicious. And I was told a couple of times when I was over there, the majority of the coffee is now locally grown as well. Just magnificent. But then they'll double as tap rooms as well at night. And the other thing, there's a lot of coffee shops and tap rooms that are also record shops. So they'll have a weirdly eclectic selection of vinyl records at the back or on the wall. And you can enjoy a coffee and browse and listen to records. And some are specialised. So some of these shops you'll go in and it maybe hasn't got that eclectic selection, but instead it's a classical shop, so all the vinyl's classical, or it may be sort of K-pop. The one that I was in was a K-pop / 60s bar. I'm not into K-pop. I honestly, I don't know if there's a link there. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm showing my age. But these things are pretty cool, and it makes it a little bit different. And it's great because then the bars will open, or sorry, the coffee shops will maybe open about 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then that's them open right the way through, which is really cool. And it means that they don't have that, nobody's drinking coffee at 11 o'clock at night because they've got the tap room attached to it. And I suppose if somebody goes in and spends 30 quid on a record, the margin on that, I would imagine, is considerably better than on that one ticket item. Help them sort of justify paying a wage for somebody to be in there. But yeah, decent, bit different. So as it was relatively early, we were gifted these. That was delicious. And first beer of the day, which was a delicious IPA. Very nice, very fresh. And then back for a little bit more walking around, see what we could see. And then we thought we'd try this. This is the Chinese closest equivalent to a homegrown KFC. And this was, it was a chicken burger, which was lovely. Chicken nuggets, which was spicy chicken nuggets. There was black pepper. And then on to see again if we can find more beer. And we found this absolute gem of a place. This was the coolest place I think I had been in to this point in my life, and it was beaten when we went to Chongqing, but you'll see that one later. But yeah, really cool. And the thing that made this incredibly cool wasn't the fact that it was a really smart place that served decent beer. That also you'll see at a Michelin star rating, but I don't know how honest that is. But also they had a museum, and it was my kind of museum because it was consumer electronics. So it had like Sony Walkmans from the first Walkman up to the last Walkman. They had headphones showing you the original can type headphones all the way up to a pair of up-to-date Apple Buds. They had piles and piles of hi-fi separates. They had a Laserdisc player, and they had the coolest Laserdisc player that I didn't even think existed. That was a double-sided Laserdisc player, a double-sided DVD player. It also played video discs, as you would imagine, but it also recorded the DVD as well, and it had a PVR built into it, and it was a Pioneer unit. I'd only ever heard of these. I didn't actually know that one existed, and they had one. It was like, oh man, it was worth going to China for. Absolutely amazing. Just such a cool place. The only thing it was lacking was a Nintendo Entertainment System, a Super Nintendo, an N64, a Sega Mega Drive, a Master System, a Mega Drive 32X, CD-ROM, a Saturn. That's the only thing it missed. If it had that side on it, I don't think I'd have left the place. But it was a steak place, and I regret not going back to try the steak. But I basically, my guts gave out 2 days later, and I couldn't eat until we'd gone back to Chongqing, pretty much. So it's a shame because I would have loved to have tried a steak in there. The initial idea when we were there was I was going to go back on the last night and have a steak. I was going to have a whiskey because they had a massive Macallan section, which is my favourite whiskey. And they also had a select amount of Cubans, and I would have indulged in a cigar as well. But unfortunately, things did not work out that way. But I suppose there's an excuse in itself to go back to China in a couple of years to indulge. But yeah, pretty cool. So too much chat. Let's have a look at this setup we were talking about. As you can see, completely different. It was like a museum that sold beer, coffee, steak, Macallan, and wasn't afraid to say that they liked Michael Jackson. China has totally disregarded anything that may have been a grey area about Mr. Jackson, let's just say. the taps, and then taps off. Beautiful beer. Again, an IPA. Again, to point, some peanuts. And I think I had 2 or 3 there, I can't remember, to be fair. Cameras, Polaroid cameras, and the Michelin star. I don't know. Don't know. Then we went for a walk around the areas, big park areas, a big shopping complex as well, shopping mall, an actual KFC. I don't eat KFC, by the way, but the Chinese one. I don't know if it was the chicken in the caves we're enjoying, but it was delicious, whatever it was. Yeah, just everything was a little bit different from what it was in the centre. It was pretty cool. This was a nuclear bunker that had been converted into an art gallery. Again, smart, but different. The pictures do not do this justice, but converting nuclear bunkers into art galleries is pretty cool. Again, I know I don't pronounce this correctly, but in case you don't know, you'll hear the word Hutons, and this is a big popular thing, it would appear, in China. 4 cities I visited in China, all 4 cities had this exact same thing. And they take an area which is like the traditional area where people lived and worked, and they've knocked behind it down and rebuilt on the facades and the areas. And the first one I went to was Beijing, and it's called the Huton area, which is why I ask, is this like Hutons? I actually stayed in a Huton hotel when I was in Beijing the first time I was on mainland. And I have to say, if you're around 50 years old and you like, I'm not like a 5-star plus hotel, but again, if you know, I don't stay in travel lodges or Premier Inns often because I don't really like them, and I refuse to stay in a B&B. I like a certain grade of hotel. I like a bed that's really comfy. I like a certain amount of space in the room. I like a window. The Hutons are, I thought there was no mattress on the bed, and it was a quilt that was rolled up. No, the thing I thought was rolled up was the mattress. And the mattress was like as thick as a dinner mat. And it was on wooden slats. Now, meant to be very good for your back. I still slept very well in it, but it's not my thing, if I'm being honest. So it was a great experience to have, but the 3 nights or the 4 nights we stayed there was, after the first night, I wished I'd carried on with the booking of the Hilton, which is what we had until, I think it was a Hilton. It was a Hilton or a Holiday Inn or something like that, until we saw this hotel. I thought, no, that actually looks a bit cooler and it's a bit different. So that's what the Hutons are. They're redeveloped areas that have pretty much just got tat in them now. But this was pretty cool because it had one of the original buildings left, and you could go into the courtyard, as you'll see in about 10 seconds time. And the first thing we see in this reconstructed area is a British phone box and letterbox. Okay. Are these Hutons?
Similar.
Is the Huton, is that just a Beijing thing?
Beijing
Or
thing.
yeah, because it's the same kind of courtyard structure, isn't it, with the buildings around it?
Is that like Alexander back there? That's the Catherine back.
No.
Yeah, tea, coffee, dessert.
And we thought we'd have another coffee just to gather our thoughts a little bit. Delicious again, very high quality coffees. And we got these delicious little free cakes, which were lovely. And then we thought we'd have a pizza. This place was really good, and 30 odd pence can of Coca-Cola. Pizzas were made in front of us using the proper oven, as you can see. The meat pizza disappeared as soon as it was put down because two of us were meat eaters, and the veggie one was intact when we took the photo. But really good quality pizzas, and that ended the day for us. Great. And good evening from a very cold Chengdu this evening. Yeah, good day. Not as drunk as I was the other night. And I am going to have a lager that I actually had bottled when I was having a hot pot the other evening, which is a IPA. No, it's not an IPA. I'm talking nonsense. It is a lager, and it's another snow lager, but it's a different brand of it, I believe. It's like an upmarket version of it. So I have actually, full disclosure, had this before, and it was spectacularly good. However, it was bottled, not canned, and so I'll do the review as it's canned and not bottled, if you follow what I mean. So it's a nice day today. Also had my first Chinese pizza, which was incredibly good. But it is a little bit chilly, and we were in another part of the city, which was about an hour and 20 minutes in a cab getting back to the hotel. Where we're staying is central Chengdu. Where we were was, I think it was in Sector 2. I'm saying it's a Sector 2. The way that Chengdu is you have like an inner city bit, and then you've got inner ring roads that sort of go out. So you've got like 1, 2, 3, I think 4 sets of them. And where we were was in between set 2 and 3. So it took about an hour to get back, an hour and a half, because of some minor collisions on the road, which slowed the road down. And it was raining when we left that sector, and by the time we got back here, it hasn't been raining yet, and I felt a little bit in the air. So let's get this done. First of all, beautiful colour, easy poured, smells nice, and it's delightful and how it smells. Again, it's a light lager. It's not a heavy lager whatsoever at all. I had it the other evening when I was having some hot pot, and it was perfect accompaniment to it. That's sort of, I suppose, hot pot, barbecue, whatever, pizza, but they didn't have any beer in the pizzeria we went to. Still can't get my head around. I've just had a delicious pizza in China, but I have. So happy days. Let's give it a go. Yeah, nice. Is it better than snow? Yeah, much better. Bit maltier. Yeah, a bit maltier. It really need to find out what the percentage is this and this and these. Is it a 12? It can't be a 12, can it? Can it be a 12? Like so. It's nice. It's solid, a solid 8. I'm not going past the 8, and I know that I've given, 3 of them now 8. It's very good. And what's coming tomorrow night might get an 8.5. But I don't know, because I know that then makes it better than my bar beers. But it's a solider, and it's one I've had many, many times before. So we'll wait and see what happens tomorrow. I'm also likely to be absolutely ratted tomorrow. So I don't know at what time I'm going to do this. And I might do a chocolate stout as well tomorrow, because I'll be passing where I had the chocolate stout, and I promised I would do another review of that one, because that was tremendous. That was amazing. It was like hot chocolate, but very alcoholic. And it was cold, which is unusual because most drinks in China aren't cold. You have to struggle, but that'll come in another video. So, again, from Chengdu, can't wait to go to Chongqing just to say it. The view again is a spectacular city view. Over here, let me show you. Over here, just this bit here, along there, that's all bars, music bars, things like that, that we haven't been able to visit yet, because when we get to this point in the evening, we're knackered, because the journey time was 23 hours, and we're getting up, we're doing loads of stuff during the day, so when it's getting to the time that we want to be going there, we can't, because it'll kill us for the next day. So we plan to tomorrow, we're going to the bit that's behind me there, which has got the big pandas, and there's a Ralph Lauren bar called Ralph Lauren, sorry. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow, and then either tomorrow night or Sunday night we'll venture down a Bath Street, which will be excellent. But yeah, Chengdu so far has been really good, and I look forward to my next beer review. This is an 8. It's a solid 8. 8 out of 10. Again, I'm sorry. 8's alright. 8's what it should be. I'm going to finish the rest of it. I'm going to probably sit in the room, because it is absolutely Baltic. And tomorrow we shall do what I think will be the best beer or lager of the holiday. Possibly the chocolate one, if I can get past there again. And see what other crazy shenanigans go on. Have a good night.